Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting race here in our continuing coverage of the Crosskeys Tournament 2021. Today, we have a very exciting race 3 between rdwalshv as well as dataplet. In the booth, we have amazing Ampharos as well as Tyler W. Thank you guys so much for signing up here to do this commentary on this awesome game. We have Scott G239 as well as Tofile here to track for you guys. So without further ado, I'm going to get this race started and throw it over to these guys who are excited to talk to you about Crosskeys. Have a great race, guys.
Oh, we're always excited to talk to you about Crosskeys, and I think we're going to have a really good one today. This is a game 3 between dataplet and rdwalshv, so the winner will advance in the bracket, and I saw about half of game 2 yesterday, and I'm just going to say these two are really closely matched in skill. I would expect a really good match here.
I would too. I didn't get the chance to see race 2 yesterday. I was busy doing other things. Life decided to want to do things. But here we are, race 3.
Yeah, and I apologize for perhaps us having a little bit of delay getting set up, but the upside of that is you have to listen to us find ways to fill the air for less time than usual. We're just about to kick off.
What? No. I was kidding. All right, here we go. Yeah.
And here we go, and we have our first bit of asymmetry that I kind of knew it was coming from the race yesterday, of different starting points with different starting items. A lamp for Walsh with his Sank start. I'm a fan of Sank start. dataplet with his Link's House start gets a Meyer small key, which is a little less exciting, but a little nice, I guess. I also have to point out that we have the very interesting situation in which the Sank start puts you on the pyramid. For now, that only gets you the item on the pyramid, which is 3 bombs. Convenient, but hardly required. And you can do some bunny walking, but you really don't want to. In the long run, though, this is very fast access to a section of the Dark World that can often be difficult to go to. So you can get some very interesting routing ideas coming out of this start.
Indeed.
Another rather notable thing we saw on dataplet's side is we have Paradox Cave at the potion shop. Walsh is going to have bombs when he goes in there, but unless these 2 chests help him out, he's only going to have 2. Oh, but a 50 rupee. Oh, man. This is perfect for Walsh. He can spend his 2 bombs to get to the Paradox Cave shop, buy a 10-pack, and get all 7 of those items right away. This could be an actually pretty substantial early advantage for that Sank start. On the other hand, I'd say on dataplet's side, we're not looking at too much a note. Uncle's at Useless Fairy. No super thrilling items. A Castle Tower small key, I think everyone's hoping is not important. And just going for a basic Houlihan. Get that early money.
Yeah, I'll take early money any day.
And yeah, Walsh is just doing it. So, Paradox Cave is actually not free at all with only bombs and 3 hearts. These mini Moldorms can be huge jerks. Walsh doesn't actually need to escape alive here. He just needs to get to all 7 chests. We'll see how he handles that.
Ice Rock Cave only having 10 arrows today.
That was really good on Walsh's side.
Yeah, it was. That was amazing.
He made what is honestly a very difficult and very RNG-heavy room look like it wasn't even a thing. And he's rewarded with a glove and probably the hardest chest to get to. So that's just all around very nice for him. Now, I don't expect dataplet to hold off on going back there for too long. As soon as he has some supply of bombs and any realistic way to deal with the mini Moldorms, he's going to be there. But this glove will just help Walsh out a little bit in a lot of little ways.
Yeah, knowing you can do a lot of that stuff here pretty early in the game makes things a little less difficult when you're routing.
Speaking of routing, Walsh has an interesting option here where he could just sort of continue over to Sank because he has a glove to go in if he wants to.
Oh, that's
I
true.
don't know if he'll do it or if he'll just go for the typical Houlihan play here, but it's an option that's available to him. Whereas dataplet just found the well. It didn't look like it had a whole lot in it, but always nice to find where that is and know that drops are a little less of a priority.
Right, but something to consider, he had no bombs for the final chest in there.
Yeah, that really is a big thing, because you might say, well, maybe it's nothing, but the problem with that kind of thinking is it's really likely dataplet will go back to check that chest. Whether it's a progression item or a junk item, the time of just walking back there again is nearly inevitably baked into his final time, so that is a bit unfortunate for him.
Yeah.
And Walsh's first check with the glove only informs him of where Spike Cave is. If you want this super early glove to not matter too much, you're on Team Dataplet. Spike Cave is probably about the most Dataplet friendly thing that could have been in there.
Oh, sick kid.
That was just a heart container in Lumberjack Cave, so I don't really think we're going to be worrying too much about that going forward.
Aw, but I like that big heart.
Well, the good news I have for you is that there are 10 others just like it.
Oh, thank goodness. Whew, I feel better. See, there's one right there on Walsh's side.
I also will sound a minor alarm bell here. We haven't seen Ganon. Well, okay, there he is. Speak of the devil and he shall arrive, but...
Amen.
Yeah, that has to be a little bit of a relief for Walsh to see Ganon right there, because... Well, I guess, no, we already know Sank's the Pyramid, and we'd already seen the Lumberjack. Never mind, we knew Ganon was going to show up soon. And the two in town have to be Useless Fairy and Magic Bat, neither of which are particularly useful right now.
Nope.
And yeah, we also see Dataplet very rapidly making his way to clear out Paradox Cave. I wonder if because he's already seen what's in the Useless Fairy drop, if he's going to check one of the connectors here.
He might.
And that was a smart move on Dataplet's side. Throwing that bomb can work, but you are at a little mercy of the RNG of how the mini Moldorm moves. Just holding the bomb over your head and charging the mini Moldorm, well, it's guaranteed to work.
Yup.
Yeah, Walsh's side, we're getting the very quick, very dense clear of CAC. Get a Hera small key. I'm pretty sure that's everyone's favorite small key. No one's ever dissatisfied to see that one. And Dataplet found a connector to Agana's cave, which, especially with a glove already in your inventory, is just very convenient. Dataplet very well might just clear the entire Southern Light World right here, right now, which is going to be quite a bit of early game divergence.
Yeah, it is. We're finding Pod also on Walsh's side.
That was a low-key veteran move from Walsh, just making sure he took the hit from that fireball to minimize the time he'd have to spend death warping. So I believe with that, Walsh now knows that the well is in the Uncle Tunnel. While dataplet finds the third entrance of Paradox Cave, I don't think there's any realistic route through the seed that does not do Paradox Cave pretty early.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
Here's another play. Dataplet has located Hyrule Castle at Mini Moldorm Cave and is just going in and going straight for Dark Cross. Not stealing a key, just gonna grab the one item in Dark Cross. Very interesting decision. And it's doubly interesting because yesterday we saw a similar case where Sanctuary was in a bad spot and Dataplet was not willing to steal a key to go to the back of Escape. In that case, it was a hook shot, but going straight to Zelda's cell rewarded him with a pod big key. So we'll see if this has similar drama today.
300 big ones.
I would point out that King Zora is in Logic and Dataplet is on a natural route to fake flipper to Zora and just got Zora money.
Ooh, that could be your ugly play.
If we're being honest, though, is it that ugly of a play? Like, I actually think, at least from Dataplet's perspective, it's a really easy play to make. The routing's just falling in his lap.
No, that's true. You're right.
But I guess the really big question with that is, will Dataplet want to check Hyrule Castle for connectors? And if he does, will any of them either put him somewhere that he needs to advance from, like on the mountain, or get him stuck, which, of course, would just be the end of the road.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, as Walsh just clears out CAC, other than locating Pod, we're just not seeing too much of interest here. Seems like a mostly barren town. We are finding our way up to the mountain, and it's worth noting that with the lamp already in our inventory, for once the old man is getting rescued in a logical manner.
Wait, hold on. What?
We got some real classic non-cooperation from that green guard on Dataplet's side. I don't feel like he plays nice very often. And now Dataplet's going to have to spend 2 bombs to death warp out of here, which is just very annoying.
Yeah, you always want to do that with just 1 bomb.
I'm also going to say I'm a little surprised Walsh did not even go for 1 loop of that 50 rupee cave with only 30 bucks to his name. But I guess time is time, and there's a good chance he doesn't need it. No, man, Dataplet got stuck, came out of the hookshot cave entrance.
Well, luckily we can still do some exploring up here on Dark Death Mountain.
Yeah, pretty unfortunate what he actually found. Just dropping down leads to a cave he's going to have to return to, but it's only 1 item, so it's going to be just a long side trip for one thing.
Yeah, you hope that one thing doesn't have that one item you need.
Meanwhile, Walsh is almost done with the mountain. Got a mushroom, but not too much else. Despite not wanting to do the 50 rupee cave, is willing to play this archery minigame, which probably takes a little longer for about twice as many rupees.
Which, in fairness, it can be a toss-up between the two. You're really not worried about it. Hey, mini Moldorm Cave over on dataplet side.
I think dataplet very wisely just backed out instantly. He's fully aware that that's not actually possible with only 2 bombs.
Yeah, good choice on that side.
Yeah, I don't know if we've seen the mini Moldorm prize pack clearly. I wasn't really paying attention to their clears of Paradox Cave, but maybe one of them drops a bomb and makes it possible. But, I mean, you'd be foolish to bet on that, especially with it being so accessible.
Yeah, wait until you got some more stuff.
Speaking of things that can be foolish, how do you feel about 4-heart no-item laser bridge?
Let's go. No, that one's bad. That's a bad deal right there.
I mean, dataplet's doing it, and to be honest, when you're competing at this level, you have to be ready, willing, and able to make this play, but I'm not going to pretend this is easy, because it's really not. Dealing with this red hard hat beetle in particular is just a huge issue, as dataplet is demonstrating quite clearly.
Ooh, and then the laser shot.
I gotta say, when you're struggling with these low health laser skips, no boots, etc., you're always just happy to see a single arrow.
Yeah, woo! Single arrow!
I mean, I like to think of both these runners as very compassionate men, and they're just thinking, how much could this satisfy Twitch chat for me to find a single arrow right here? Also, dataplet is leaving a chest behind on Laser Bridge. On one hand, I get it. You've died like 5 times, and it's getting really slow. On the other hand, that's an awkward orphan.
Yeah, that is. It almost makes me wonder, dataplet will obviously come back to it, I'm sure, when have more health or better items.
Yeah, but kind of the problem with that is that, like, what are your options? If you come back with the Cane of Samaria, you can just combo it with going toward the back. Or toward the front, I should say. But if you don't find Cane, it's never a good play to go back there.
You're right, it isn't.
To answer the question from chat, that laser is 4 hearts of damage, so given that after a death, dataplet spawns with 3 hearts, he emphatically cannot survive a hit from it no matter what.
Yeah, 1-hit KO right now. Ooh, but Fluke 5 is Hype Cave. Well, there's some help. Oh boy, Hype Cave is living it up today.
So, Blue Mail helps in that it does reduce the damage. Well, does it reduce? I don't remember if it reduces the damage from the lasers or not. But with that amount of health, it's not actually going to really help on Laser Bridge at all.
No, but we did find a sword in there, so that helps a little bit in the overworld.
It also just makes dealing with that hard hat beetle more reasonable.
Yup. Now we'll take a look at Mini Moldrum Cave.
Another bold move from dataplet, spending a bomb to clear Mini Moldorm Cave a little faster. Like, I love saving time. It's what you do to win races, but that was risky. The risk was immediately fizzled as dataplet got 2 bomb chests in here, but he was down to 1.
Yeah.
And this is going to be a really sort of fun route for Walsh here. Turn in the mushroom, go through the last piece of Paradox Cave, and just get right back to the dam and continue your South Dark World checks. But yeah, here's kind of that, just a backtrack you have to make time loss for dataplet, where he's come back here to get this chest. It doesn't actually matter whether this is a progression item or not at this point. This is just time loss that dataplet is locked in. Very similar to the bomb situation with the well earlier. And I don't know that we have a clear lead for Walsh at all yet, but I do feel like he's explored more stuff just because he's been able to avoid these scenarios.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you. And all that for a map.
On the other hand, dataplet handled the bomb's escape like a pro, whereas Walsh looks a lot less comfortable with it. I'd actually be really nervous if I were Walsh with this maneuver he's making, because he only has 3 bombs. Now, it's possible he's planning to get the boomerang room chest and then die and then go all the way to the back. In which case, his bomb supply is a lot more generous. Well, actually, no, that doesn't change anything, because he still needs to kill this guard.
Yeah.
And that might have looked really ugly, what Walsh just did there, but honestly, that was the smart thing to do, because you're losing several minutes at that point if you actually take that, if you don't hit with that bomb, I should say.
Yeah, take the safe stress, take the damage.
And you see, because Walsh doesn't have the bombs to Death Warp, he has to keep this green guard alive if he wants to continue his route from here. I'm going to be honest, I think it might have been better for Walsh to just kill the green guard with a pot and accept that he was going to have to walk back on the overworld, but he did manage to pull it off, so he's going to be ejected back to the overworld. But, man, it's scary to go to Ice Rod Cave with 0 bombs. There is a 50-50 rock that you can pull hoping to get a bomb for it, but I don't love a lot of this situation from Walsh's perspective.
Yeah, I'm starting not to like it either, but Walsh does what Walsh does, so...
Yeah, and you'll also observe Walsh didn't steal the key. He also was just comfortable going right to Zelda's cell. In the game yesterday, Walsh did steal the key. He might actually feel better about beating Aga 2 instead of Aga 1, because checking upstairs GT is a reasonably dense location anyway, whereas obviously nothing up Castle Tower has anything at all other than time loss. Meanwhile, on dataplet's side, we see him kind of doubling back over Walsh's steps. Dataplet's inevitably going to sweep all through town, find Pod and the one big key within, and then probably find his way to the mountain where he's going to get a mushroom and pretty much nothing else.
Our tracker does point out that we do have a pod small key that dataplet had that Walsh didn't have when they went into pod.
Yet we see this 50-50 bomb farm from Walsh here. The way he's clearly planning to route this... Well, oh no, he's going to go to the eastern area first. I honestly thought he might head to the Ice Rod Cave area, but this works. He just wanted to make sure he had a bomb in case he finds, like, Chicken House. We've already seen Agana's cave, so the main cave you absolutely need one bomb for is already off the table. And we also know the main reward of this play is going to be that sword that Walsh is going to get from Laser Bridge. This one bomb will come in handy for clearing Hype Cave, though it's not exactly hype as it does turn out.
Yeah, I would give Hype Cave maybe about a 4 or 5 today.
Oh, I'm getting a friendly reminder from our tracker that it is the other way around. The sword's in Hype Cave, and Laser Bridge is high on the suffering, low on the value.
But nice job on Walsh's side clearing out Laser Bridge in that first go around.
Yeah, Walsh has kind of been flailing a bit lately just with his bomb situation, but he definitely made up a lot of time on dataplet just for how he handled Laser Bridge. And let's also just make note of some of the other things we've seen that are loose ends. This connector at Eastern Palace, which is the Spectacle Rock connector, is not what I would call appealing at all, but it could be important in the long term. And I don't think either player has actually gone into Desert Palace properly, even though it was located in Kakariko.
Yeah, neither player has.
And I don't know how Walsh feels about it, but honestly, I would be just a little sad to see that blue mail. Because at this point, he has enough health that he's not really in danger from just about anything that might hit him. But, man, it's just... Death Warps get so much slower with mail.
Yeah, and those are ones that you really like I'm glad I have a death warp I can do.
Man, I thought dataplet was crazy for using a bomb to put him down to 1. Walsh was willing to use his last bomb to try to speed up Mini Moldorm Cave, and he missed with it, but that's just bold. Again, he's going to get bailed out with 6 bombs in these chests, but you don't know that.
Yeah, it gets bailed out of there.
So I wonder what Walsh's plan is from here, because I think he's down to the Ice Rod Cave area, going through desert and checking connectors. I guess maybe he's just heading for Desert Palace. Kind of surprised he'd commit to this walk instead of going to the Ice Rod Cave area, but it is an option.
Oh, gonna check the mushroom, actually.
And in a relatively unsurprising development, the mushroom was nothing.
Just some loose change.
Fetch quests are a waste of time until they aren't.
Yep, they're always a waste of time, and then that one time it happens, it's like, oh great, now it is.
Oh yeah, the pod key too. I can kind of understand what Walsh is thinking here. You get the mushroom turn in, you get 2 checks in pod, and then you go into desert, which is 1 check, and you can take at least 1 connector out of it. Though there's not a lot of places you want the connector to take you since you've already been on the Western Mountain. And this is another case where this is a really bad death warp here. Like, this is a bad enough death warp you consider just walking out the hard way. And indeed, it looks like Walsh is going to do that.
Yeah, 8 hearts on blue mail. All right, let's see what Desert Palace holds for us.
Yeah, it's not really discussed that much in the community, but it is somewhat of a division point whether you go for this chest as soon as you find desert or you wait until you're more ready to take connectors. Today, team don't rush this chest definitely had the better argument, as that was just a suspiciously vanilla map to Desert Palace.
And only 20 rubies on the torch, so...
Now for our desert door game, the left door goes to South Dark World.
Not a bad connector.
I don't agree with bunny walking here. Personally, if I came out of this door, I would have gone right back in and seen if the right door was better.
Fair point.
I guess, yeah, if we know that you can get to Swamp Palace from the mountain, save and quit, you don't feel awful about this bunny walk because you don't have to do the long walk down to Swamp Palace. But, like, the odds that you find anything you can do anything with are so low here. It's probably Ice Rod Cave area that's the answer.
Yeah, I'm with you on this one.
And to answer chat's questions, you cannot open chest as a bunny unless you do a super bunny glitch, which has a couple of ways to set it up. The most prominent one and the most accessible one usually involves the mirror, which these runners do not have right now. The things a bunny can do, you can walk, you can push blocks, you can fall down pits, which is another way to activate Super Bunny if you can fall down a pit that warps you to a different level. The bunny can use the mirror. I believe the bunny can also drink potions. It's very limited as a state.
Yeah, and they can also pick up items, you know, that are just right there on the ground that aren't in chests or anything like that, so. All right, Walsh is going to show us what's over here in Ice Rod Cave.
Well, here's one place really likely to have a progression item. It's the first 4 in Thieves Town.
I accept.
Yeah, the bunny can talk to people. The bunny can even buy things from shops. I guess I should have included those things as possibilities. The bunny can pick up freestanding items on the ground.
Yeah, there's just not a lot you can do as a bunny, but there are some things.
Yes, our tracker, Tofile, pointing out the best thing you can do with Bunny. You can go into the chess game. You're allowed to talk to NPCs, so you can buy the ability to play the minigame, but you can't actually open the chest, so the minigame is quite impossible.
Indeed, but Walsh finding the progression item, he got the hammer.
You say he found the progression item, but what does that do for us?
Let me rephrase, it comes back in a later time.
Because, yeah, we don't have the Moon Pearl to use it for Dark World access. I don't think we found any dungeon where it does anything. It's not even necessarily a new weapon because we had a sword. Dataplet found a connector to the Eastern Mountain, found the dam which had the flippers. That's pretty interesting. Walsh is about to fake flipper because Zora's in logic for Walsh regardless, and he'll nearly inevitably check Hobo and the Waterfall Cave entrance while he's doing this. Of course, all the flipper checks will just be a bit of a simpler matter for Dataplet. Or maybe Walsh won't check Hobo. That's unexpected.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and without Pearl, you have no way to actually get the chest in the King's Tomb entrance there. In the swimming state, you actually can go down the stairs, but it won't take you out of the swimming state, so you won't be able to open the chest. Oh, and I can answer another fun chat question. Yes, there is Shop Sanity in A Link to the Past, but it is very rarely played. Well, Dataplet does a little bit of a trickier bomb jump. We often see the bomb jump to just use the big chest entrance of Turtle Rock as a connector. The bomb jump to reach the big chest without Hookshot or Cane is a lot pickier, but it's quite learnable. And in this case, it rewarded Dataplet with a boomerang, a red rupee, and the knowledge that he's not going to have to come back here.
And now Dataplet's probably going to take that connector. Or make a fool out of me.
We've already seen the eye laser entrance, I believe. I think we've actually seen all 4 doors of Turtle Rock.
We have, yeah, you're right.
So I don't know what you want the next progression item to be. I know what I want the next progression item to be.
I'm gonna say the mirror.
I'm going to go with the blue cane.
Okay, I can see that one.
Because that puts exactly one spot in the logic right away.
Yep. Okay, I'm with you on that one. Now I'm following the logic.
So Dataplet took a death to everyone's least favorite Pokey in A Link to the Past. This isn't that bad with a fighter sword, but it's not completely free either. And yeah, these skulls and the Pokey, they just do a lot of damage. Even with blue mail, it's like this was an in-game dungeon or something.
Wait, say what? Takes care of the Pokey though on that round.
Meanwhile, Walsh is showing us where the Spectacle Rock Connector goes. We did not know where this goes, and Walsh probably kind of wishes we still didn't know. Dataplet, on the other hand, must be thrilled to have found a bow in the vanilla big key chest of Turtle Rock. It's very likely that's logical silvers, but it's just very convenient, especially given we already know where Pod and Eastern are.
Yeah, we'll see how well if that bow was logically the first one.
And there, Dataplet just has to be thinking, 100 rupees, you shouldn't have. No, really, you shouldn't have.
Come on, game, you really.
Dataplet expertly pulling off fake real flippers. It's a trick you always get on the first try.
First try. Sorry, I couldn't help that stuff on that one.
Walsh, meanwhile, is just rushing back to this King's Tomb entrance he saw earlier. It's a reasonable thing to do. This is a known item, and then you can just sort of make your route end on Hobo.
All right, well, nothing in there, so just a little piece of heart.
Hey, that cave had critical information on where your next progression item isn't.
That is true.
Walsh, why would you not check the Capacity Ferry entrance?
That is a good question.
That's honestly just a mistake. There is actually no reason you would not check that entrance at that time.
Well, what have we here?
You know, I was joking about it, but honestly, it's not that surprising because, like, we already found Spike Cave, we have the glove, we have the hammer. Cape wouldn't put it in logic because we don't have a way to refill our magic, and we would need to find half magic or a bottle. But Blue Cane just sorts things out for us, as Walsh once again swims right past Capacity Ferry, but is rushing to Spike Cave. I honestly don't know if I want this to be the Moon Pearl or if I want Moon Pearl to be in the Capacity Fairy entrance out of pure spite.
Ooh, yeah. Oh boy!
My favorite part about this is Sick Kid is right next door to Spike Cave. So you really want to save and quit, but you know you really should just backtrack Spike Cave as much as you always hate doing it.
Well, let's see if Sick Kid has the answer. Yep.
Not gonna lie, I was hoping for Shoveler Powder.
That would have been hilarious.
But yeah, Pearl there makes a lot of sense. It had to be there, this Capacity Fairy entrance, or maybe some weird bunny walking dead end we hadn't gone through yet. And speaking of things that are suspiciously vanilla, Venus, you didn't go too far.
Not far at all.
And Walsh is taking a bit of a road less traveled, but this is actually good routing for him to go straight to Northwest Dark World, which is a region we haven't found a way to otherwise yet. And definitely the densest concentration of available entrances with Walsh's current item set.
Yeah, I like this play.
And yeah, one thing to point out is that Dataplet's a little behind Walsh in the linear progression here. He's going to be funneled into the Moon Pearl relatively shortly, but Walsh will have about a minute start on Dark World. But Dataplet has that bow from Turtle Rock, and it doesn't seem likely that Walsh is going to get that bow anytime soon.
No, with that, as much as that's opened up with that Moon Pearl.
Now, I will say, if you're going to be missing an item for a long time, the bow isn't a terrible one to be missing, especially when you already know where Pod and Eastern are and you're feeling very little pressure to go back into them.
Yeah, that's true. And besides that, the bow that we have is logically behind 4 keys.
Yeah, though, if we find the Eastern big key, it's suddenly going to become a much bigger deal, because 4 of the 6 chests in Eastern are in logic right now. You just don't want to do it because you don't want the backtrack, but if you have a bow and a big key, your arguments to not go into Eastern do begin to fade quite a bit.
Yeah, you got a point there.
And there's the Desert Palace small key. That is 2 items. Quick and easy. You just have to make your way back to Desert, which sometimes is and sometimes isn't an annoying thing to do. Well, Walsh gets a pod small key from the chess game, and of note, the RNG item he got from the chess game was not money. And he's at 24 rupees, so he cannot jump down and do dig game right now.
Well, we speak of desert. There's the desert back entrance.
Yeah, we're a couple items from that being doable, but it's one of those things you're always happy to locate. Man, Walsh having all the RNG, slashing a couple of bushes, getting attacked by a bee and an alive rock. That is very unlucky.
Yeah, I don't think I've had that happen to me in quite some time.
Yeah, it's not super rare at all to have one or the other happen, but having both happen in the span of 2 bushes, that's the game laughing at you a bit.
It's like how I put the Moon Pearl there, and you had to follow a really good progression string to get to it, and then I'm going to do that.
Dataplet seems to be doing the classic screen stare. That's never a good sign. Now that he's moving north, he probably just realized, oh yeah, sick kid. Or he's just going to do out-of-logic stuff with his bow. Though even if he did just realize sick kid, if you're here with the bow in your inventory, there's pretty much no reason not to get these 2 chests right now. If they're valuable, that could really help you out. Even if they're not, you are going to do this eventually anyway.
Yeah, and then you can just go right up to sick kid after you're done.
On Walsh's side, meanwhile, we've located Ganon's Tower, which has the myths. Not necessarily critical progression, but they do open a couple of things, and they're very convenient. And 300 rupees, which Walsh has been very low on cash the whole seed, and that pretty much means he doesn't have to worry about money again. He's already paid Zora.
Ooh, a small key up there on Bumper Ledge.
And the bow led to Bamos, which is one of the most interesting things it could have led to. It's pretty easy for Bamos to be useless in a seed, but it does have several points of utility that may or may not come up. The main entrances it's interesting in have not shown themselves yet.
Oh, but let's take a dive into the Skull Woods here.
Dataplet seems to have found his way to the summit of the mountain. Not entirely sure how this happened, but here we are.
Yeah, he took the right side of a Desert Palace connector. Or, yeah, the east side.
Oh, I feel Dataplet's pain finding this connector here. He knows every decision he can make here is wrong. And in fact, he's right. Every decision he can make is wrong because the right answer is sick kid. But this is just a dilemma of a connector to see here. You can just feel the time loss whether you go through it or not. And I do agree with going through it. I would probably do the same, but you're groaning the whole way because you feel pressure to go right back to desert and go right through it again and then drop down. Even then, you might have to drop multiple times if the spiral cave entrance is your answer.
Yeah, which would be just ugly.
And you know this is probably going to dump you in the Dark World. You really want to bumper or bunny walk all the Northwest Dark World, and because that's a decision you're about to be looking at. You can't even be surprised to see this, and you're low on options for the Pearl. This is just kind of all bad news bears for dataplet, and it's all really just stemming from his decision not to walk out of Spike Cave and check Sick Kid. Hey, Walsh is using his mitts remarkably early in the game to find absolutely nothing in the Ice Palace entrance, but that is usually not an entrance that is checked sub 1 hour.
No, it's not. But then again, half the time I don't even see the mist till like an hour and a half.
I feel like a lot of the Crosskey seeds I've been seeing lately have had mitts show up a little earlier, but as is often pointed out on Crosskey streams, mitts are a far less critical progression item in Crosskeys than in standard randomizers. In standard randomizers, you need mitts to get to Misery Mire, to Turtle Rock, and to Ganon's Tower, which is a real short way of saying, oh, and Ice Palace. You need the mitts. They're super valuable. In Crosskeys, they open up just a couple of doors. They're just really convenient, too, because they let you get to the Dark World from CAC really quickly. Oh, my word, there's the Cane of Samaria.
Oh, boy. Aga Tower actually holding something useful today.
So that red cane's a little spicy. We have all 4 doors of Turtle Rock.
That is true, but no rods, so...
Yeah, but from Walsh's perspective, he did not do the bomb jump to get to the Turtle Rock big chest. So that's 2 quick checks right there. If it leads him back to Turtle Rock, that's doubly great, because if he goes and kills the Pokey and gets the key and all that, he'll find the bow. In the front of Turtle Rock, he can reach 1 chest with the cane. That's a pretty long walk and just for a single chest, but it is a check that is entered logic.
Yep, that is true. And dataplet showing off a little glitch there where if you die as a bunny in one of the dungeons and revive, you come back as Link.
Fun fact, you can also turn back into Link if you get grabbed by a Wall Master. It's just so unfortunate for the players that Wall Masters aren't in more dungeons.
I did not know that. You learn something new every day.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure most people just look at all the helpful things they do and think, man, when I play Zelda games, I wish Wall Masters were a lot more present. I just feel that warm sense of security and helpfulness when there's that shadow forming under my character.
It's like, oh, he's here, thank goodness. All right, well, Ether's required to open up the vanilla Turtle Rock entrance.
Walsh almost goes and gets his bow and then decides not to, and then decides to do it. And then decides not to again after walking a considerable distance. Okay, Walsh, you do you.
Okay, only $50 in the brewery, so we're okay there.
So dataplet has done a lot of checking on this mountain and discovered 0 moon pearls. And now is saving quit to Sank, which to me points to East Dark World Bunny Walks, which is going to give him a whole lot of nothing. This Moon Pearl's actually super unfortunate for dataplet. This is at least 5 minutes he's lost to this, and honestly, probably more.
Yeah, it feels bad.
So, we know this is just, I think, 20 rupees. It's something irrelevant. But the big question here is, will Walsh go to the bow? Now this is basically his last chance to head toward Chomp Room. Or is he just that unwilling to fight a Pokey, he's not going to do it until he has the Turtle Rock Small Key?
Nope, I think he's going to go fight the Pokey.
So I'd also like to throw out there that Chicken House is maybe the single most annoying item cave you can find here in Dark Flute 5 as a bunny. Because most item caves, you can lure the Murderdactyl over and have it Super Bunny you into the cave, but even as a Super Bunny, you cannot use Y items, which means you cannot use the bombs to blow open that crack in the wall in Chicken Hut. So Walsh uses the blue cane there. The upside is it kills the Pokey much easier than the sword does and hits it much more quickly. The downside, of course, is it creates a rather gargantuan amount of lag. But Walsh got his bow.
And it looks like dataplet's finally going to go up to Sick Kid.
Dataplet's going to feel really bad about this Moon Pearl.
He bombed Sick Kid. Though I'd feel the same way after all that stuff.
So Dataplet seems to be having a hard time deciding what to do with Moon Pearl. Ultimately decides to check the back of the old man cave. I don't know if we've seen this or not. It's always hard to keep track of which dark caves go where.
I think Walsh did go out of it, but I cannot remember where it is.
Hey, my friend the Grassman. He did a good job today. There's not very much grass on Dark Death Mountain.
Nice job, Grassman.
Hey, if you tell me you can't sympathize with a man who's willing to rearrange all the doors in the world just so he doesn't have to mow the lawn, I don't know where your priorities are.
I'm in full agreement with that one. The less grass I have to mow, the better.
This is actually our first check of Stumpy in the dig game. Stumpy had a low, but at least easily measurable amount of value. We'll see if dig game's any better. On Dataplet's end, I suspect this is a play toward Catfish, which, when you get spit out of a connector into the shopping mall, is pretty much what you want to do.
Yeah, looks like it. And the dig game actually gives up its value on the very first dig. Only blueberries, but still.
Fun fact about that shopping mall area, you can actually do the traditional style of fake flipper you use to reach King's Aura from there if you ever get spit out into that area without the flippers.
Good to know. I'll remember that in the next seed I play.
Yeah, it actually comes up a lot in the Super Metroid Link to the Past combo randomizer. Well, maybe not a lot, but enough that you need to know it because the Meridia connector goes right to that area. Hey, Catfish gives another small but easily measurable amount of value. I would say about 25% of the value of Stumpy.
Oh man, that's good math. Sorry, I can make math jokes. I'm an accountant by trade, so.
Gotta say, I'm a little confused at dataplet. Was that a save and quit to Link's house and then using the Dark World portal directly south instead of just save and quit to Mountain Cave, which brings you out of the Swamp Palace entrance?
Yes? Question mark?
This will get dataplet as Kane. We'll see what he wants to do with it. Another, of course, fun thing we can do with the Cane of Samaria, and I'm sure everyone's eager to do this, is go back to Ganon's Tower to do the Tile Room.
Woo! Tile Room!
Hey, we have the lamp, and we can steal a key if nothing else. We could do the Ganon's Tower Compass Room if we want to do a pretty hard trick.
Ooh, we could. You're right.
Yeah, you have to be a very confident guy to try that with no boots, but I bet it's within the skill of these players. They just might be scared because it's probably not something they can do consistently. And oh man, we're going for Helmassar King. This actually makes a ton of sense from Walsh's perspective.
And you've got the hammer, you've got the bow.
You know it's a 5/6 crystal. Well, how would he know that? It's the only crystal marked on the tracker. And never mind, you don't know anything about it, but it's probably a crystal. It's a 7 and 10.
I do think I remember seeing Walsh doing a quick map check, and it was a 5/6. All right, well, dataplet's going to go and check out all of Eastern as much as he can.
I always feel really bad going into Eastern with a bow and no big key. Because the bow doesn't really do anything for you unless you also have the big key. It just makes finding the big key shortly after you dive into Eastern feel worse. And oh, there's our first logical bow. So all that really does for you is tell you your Bombos medallions in logic. And yeah, in the long run, it is a good item for killing enemies, specifically certain bosses. I just don't feel we're very close to really being able to take advantage of that. Like, I guess if dataplet hurries back to Helmassar King, it will speed up his fight here, but I don't know that that's a play he's going to make very soon.
I don't think so either. Oh, Helmassar down. First crystal, hour and 8 minutes in.
I feel like Helmassar King is one of the relatively less common first boss kills in Crosskeys. I don't know the exact rates, but I feel like he's near the bottom of those numbers.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
And yep, here's that one chest in Turtle Rock, routed in pretty conveniently as it worked out with going back into pod, getting 3 items, including a crystal. Okay, there's a big deal of an item. Well, on both sides, actually. Walsh finds the Desert Big Key, which lets him kill Landmalus and get Desert Big Chest. Dataplet finds the hook shot in the Vanilla Big Key chest in Eastern. If that hook shot gates access to the Eastern Big Key, that's gonna be a huge deal.
Yeah, that hook shot now is Dataplet's one key to getting ahead.
I'd also like to point out we are now a Swamp Small Key from a full clear Swamp Palace.
Oh, yeah.
It is nice for Walsh that, well, this is actually going to be doubly nice for Walsh because he's going to get all the remaining chests in Desert and also learn where Desert Right goes probably, which we know from Dataplet's side is the top of the Light Mountain, which is just a very useful connector in a lot of ways. It can even double as the top of the Dark Mountain because we have Mitts and Hammer.
Okay, well, there's our first small Turtle Rock key.
You do need one of those, but given that we have all the Turtle Rock entrances, that is the last Turtle Rock key that we're going to have any interest in. Walsh has already seen the other side of Super Bunny Cave, so quite mercifully, he can just choose a drop to check and doesn't have to deal with that dilemma that Dataplet had to deal with earlier.
That's always a nice thing to do.
Okay, here's a big moment in this race. What's in Hookshot Cave?
Ice Rod?
Honestly, that big key of Ice Palace could prove to be the most important find of the 3. Because if we find Ice Palace, it is now full clearable. The Ice Rod feels the most important because it's so likely it's hard required to beat the seed. But I think the reality is that it's not likely to be a super big deal to have particularly soon. The pod small key is also really nice, but probably not a massive gatekeeper by itself.
No, yeah, I think you're right. That Ice Palace Big Key is probably the immediate concern, probably the most important item.
Though I guess you could easily make the argument that given how much we've checked, it is somewhat likely that Ice Palace isn't accessible without either the flute or the mirror. Well, the flute, the mirror, or the boots, those are the main items that open up new entrances. And we are also getting to enjoy the time-honored randomizer tradition of the Frog World Tour.
I love myself a good Froggy tour.
So you see the Frog World Tour relatively often. For anyone who doesn't know, the frog will stick with you unless you clear a crystal dungeon or go talk to Kiki. Both of which dataplet's well aware of. There are some more obscure ways to lose him. Like, I think you lose him if you beat one of the Aghanims. You lose him if you enter the basement of Thieves Town, but... yeah, often the frog just kind of goes on an adventure. And it's going to be fun, as dataplet is going to full clear Mire here, almost certainly. He'll lose the frog if this is a crystal, but if this is a pendant, the frog will actually stick around. Speaking of crystals, Desert was a crystal. Not an important item from Lanimalists, but you need those crystals.
Yep, can't beat the game without it.
Always fun to find another completely irrelevant and useless Turtle Rock small key.
Yippee!
There's the powder, and this is usually when you talk about Misery Mire key logic. These two chests on the left are gated by all 3 Mire keys, but given that we already have 2 of them, and we don't really care if we ever find the third, I don't think you really would treat anything you find here as out of logic particularly. I certainly would have some degree of eagerness to check the magic bat in dataplet's position.
Yeah, especially when the bat is pretty accessible.
Walsh was a little low on arrows, so he rectified that and permanently reduced the lag on that screen, all in one fell swoop. Yeah, purple chest is red mail, so this is when you start thinking, please, can I find the mirror soon? I don't want to do 9 heart red mail death warps.
Yes, please give me that mirror.
And, you know, people are acting like it is maybe a little strange for the frog to go through all this. But I have to say, based on my life experience, a frog spending a lot of time in a mire actually kind of makes a lot of sense.
That is true. It does. Oh!
You know, you actually feel really good about that Eastern big key as dataplet, because you only got in here with the hook shot from Eastern.
Oh, that's true. You did need that hook shot.
Like, you might be able to find the boots somewhere else, and that's another way you could have gotten in and single dipped Eastern, but
you have
that's
no,
a feel. For the most part, that's a real good feeling place to find the Eastern big key. Dataplet getting a not so friendly reminder about how crystal switches work.
That's me about 2/3 of the time, every time I'm in a crystal dungeon.
Walsh's about to give us our first chest in Swamp Palace. It was only 3 bombs, but definitely a spot you always have in the back of your mind as soon as you have the damn flippers in Swamp. And yet, silver arrows are about to pay off for dataplet for the first time. This is going to be a very quick and easy boss fight.
You know, especially since you're only on fighter sword still.
Hey, it's a green pendant. The frog sticks around.
Sweet!
In more sort of fun trivia, did you know that Vitreous is the only enemy other than Ganon in the game that is both damaged by silver arrows and not one-shot by them?
Huh. I will remember that for the next time I play A Link to the Past Randomizer Jeopardy. But actually, no, I never thought of that. Yeah, that's actually pretty interesting.
Yeah, silver arrows have a damage table that the main number they do is just 100. And Vitreous' big eye has 128 health, so they almost one-shot him, but he survives with just a bit. Of course, it's totally a rando-only thing, because in the original game, you need the crystals from Ice and Mire to get silvers, and Vitreous is the boss of Misery Mire.
But whilst finding the mirror, actually.
So yeah, Walsh is probably going to reflect a bit on how he wants to route in his various mirror checks. The save and quit to Sanctuary mirror on top of the pyramid is always appealing, even if it's a little annoying right now because you can't check the castle tower entrance.
Even though that's still 2 entrances that are not easily accessible.
And yeah, this Smith is still just hanging out with dataplet. He's going to have stories to tell his grandkids.
Indeed, Link being a tour guide of the ages.
It almost makes me sad that the Smith chain doesn't lead to anything of particular importance, because even though dataplet actually has spent very little time on it, it just feels like he's so invested in it just because the Smith was with him for so long.
Yeah, almost like, oh man. Wish they were like cobblers or something today.
on Walsh's side, we're getting a couple of the mirror entrances right here. The South of Grove entrance and the race game entrance are both going to come up, and I'm sure at least one of them peaked the race game item. I can't remember what it is, which usually means it's a bad item, but I don't know, maybe it's not.
For some reason, I have it in my mind that it's a key, but I could be also wrong in that.
Walsh trying to transition worlds with a bomb. It goes about like you probably think it would. Yeah, dataplet's just going to do left side GT here. With 3 GT smalls, a GT big, a hammer, a hook shot. This isn't the most difficult decision in the world.
No.
Oh, look, the last GT small keys. So now the map room's in logic, and you just in general don't have to worry about your keys in here anymore. I don't know that we've seen this hookshot cave connector yet.
I don't think so. I think dataplet only just checked the items.
I gotta say, I would be very, very suspicious of that ether medallion.
Oh, and now you hope for dataplet that Ice Palace is a pendant dungeon.
I don't know that that's going to be that horrendous for him to find. Because, like, as soon as he finds mirror and exhausts the obvious mirror entrances, looking for a connector to the Mimic Cave area is a natural thing to do.
Yeah, you're right. And it may just be just a time thing.
Kind of an important thing about it, though, Walsh probably feels a lot of pressure to go into ice and clear it, which inevitably will orphan the ice big chest. So yeah, I would say if the ice big chest has an important item, this is already dataplet's race to lose. If it's nothing, then I think Walsh is in a pretty good position still. We also see a smart little piece of routing from dataplet here, not going for the big chest right away because he's going to have to walk out anyway with no mirror. Just good awareness to know that you need to adjust your route in that small way here.
And the silvers will once again kill all the Armos in one shot. But it leads to the frog.
That is extra convenient because you can just go straight on over to right side. Honestly, I look at the items dataplet has. You got to be thinking about climbing here. It's 7 items.
Yeah, I would be starting to think about the climb as well.
Rare middle door usage, which in this case, I actually think it was a pretty good decision. You're not going to miss that key. I think from a viewership perspective, we know there's not a lot that can be up in the climb that would be super interesting. the flute or the boots both have a good chance to be required just to find Tower of Hera in back of Skull. The Thieves' Big Key could easily be an important item we don't have. I don't know that a lot else is super thrilling anymore. Oh, the Swamp Small Key is, of course, an item.
Swamp Small. Yeah, the only interesting items really would now be keys at this point.
Of course, there's always the asymmetries where you don't know about some opponent items. In this case, Dataplet has no clue where the mirror is, and from Dataplet's perspective, it has to seem pretty likely that one of the mirror, the flute, or the boots is going to be an upper GT.
That's right, we also do need to find another sword.
Yeah, Dataplet's just climbing.
Yep, we're doing the climb.
I really agree with this decision. I think it's a lot more likely to pay off than get punished.
Yeah, you're here, you found the fire rod, you found everything that you have. It makes perfect sense to climb.
And Ice Palace wasn't exactly a palace of value, but at least it was a crystal.
Yeah, doing all that work, but knowing you had to do it, but nothing of value, really. That is, unless there's something big on the Ice Palace big key, the big chest.
We've actually had very little map checking all around. We're still mostly in the dark about what our pendants and crystals are. You know, we see.
All right, Walsh back into GT.
Sorry, we see.
Go ahead.
We see Dataplet just guzzle a potion in the climb. That's a great zero ego play right there. Like, where are you going to use a potion later that's better than right here? And it just keeps you moving. Yeah, Walsh is, without a hook shot, in a much more limited position here in GT. Like, is he going to do some hard sequence breaks, or is he just going to Clear tile room and leave. Looks like he's just going to clear tile room and leave, which I don't necessarily blame him for, but Walsh really needs
Just
that
one
hook
check.
shot. Hey, look, another pod small key. That puts dataplet up to 5, so he can comfortably full clear pod at his leisure.
That's nice.
So I've heard disagreement over this point, but I think in terms of arenas, Moldorm 2 is easier than Moldorm 1. Do you have any feelings on this?
I like 2 more than 1. I think 2, just in terms of when you have items in there, just in the regular game, 2 is a lot better, but even in Crosskeys, I find 2 is better.
On Walsh's side, we find the Tower of Hera. We have the small key but no big key. Walsh does not have a hook shot, so Walsh can just get 3 items here, one of which is notoriously slow, but there's just no way you don't check Hera Basement here. And then Walsh will have to look somewhere else, unless the big key is fully vanilla, which would be remarkable to say the least.
The game has done weirder stuff.
And yeah, the overall value of this GT climb, it really depends on what's in the back of Escape and where the sewer small key is. Of course, if you find value here, it's even trickier because then you're just wondering, like, did my opponent just steal the key? In this case, the answer is no, but we saw in the previous race in the series, Walsh is willing to steal keys in Hyrule Castle, so dataplet would have to expect it.
Okay, it has value, I think.
That small key to Thieves Town, I'm not going to lie, a part of me wanted that to be the Hyrule Castle small key.
Yeah, I can take that.
But yeah, the Thieves Town small key is really nice. It doesn't actually do anything right now, but what it does do is just guarantee as soon as dataplet finds the Thieves Town big key, he can full clear the dungeon without worrying about orphaning anything. So we get information. This is the first dataplet learned that Desert is a crystal. It's the first we've learned that Eastern is a crystal. So that's just an easy crystal and 2 checks. Next time dataplet's in the region to take care of Eastern Palace. And that next time,
just right now,
immediate. On the other side, Walsh has found his way into the Mire region. I wasn't watching this side too closely to learn how he got here, but certainly this is valuable, and it removes Flute from being a progression item.
there's the big key to Thieves Town.
Now, Walsh is very likely going to be drawn into Thieves Town without the small key. And it's going to be interesting to see what those 3 chests have. Honestly, this is a really interesting situation all around because I still feel Walsh is very competitive, but even though early in the game it was dataplet who was having to double back for stuff, now as we get later in the game, Walsh is accumulating just a list of orphan things, and the more items you let go on a list like that, the more likely one of them is something really important, and that's how you lose the race.
Yeah, I've lost many a times to that.
Yeah, no real value in the rest of Eastern, but it's a crystal, might as well do it. No harm, no foul from dataplet's side.
And one of the most useless maps up there on Floating Island.
So, I don't know if you have any thoughts about this, but I've always been incredibly unimpressed by the map in A Link to the Past. Like, even as a kid, I did not find it actually useful for tracking where you're going in dungeons. A Link to the Past has to have just the worst maps in the series.
Oh no, I'm in agreement. Whenever I played it in the past, growing up or anything, I never looked at the map. Maybe once or twice, but never really doing anything with it.
I feel like as a kid, I pulled it up a lot of times, looked at it, I'm like, how am I even supposed to read this? This is a terrible map, and then went to manually exploring again.
Yep. Das Boot!
There are boots, and I wasn't confident to say that dataplet was ahead before, but with the boots find, you gotta be thinking it, especially because it's really likely that Back of Skull is boots locked at this point.
Yeah.
I will say, I don't think Walsh's situation is as dire as being portrayed. If there's nothing in the ice big chest and there's nothing in the thieves big chest, Walsh's position is fine. Walsh is about to have 4 crystals that dataplet doesn't have. Don't underestimate how much of a time advantage that can represent.
No, definitely not. Walsh is not in the best position, but certainly not out of it yet.
Yeah, and it's going to be a really interesting question just to see what dataplet's able to pull out of Swamp Palace. Beyond these boots, obviously. If there's not a sword in here, then I'm really starting to ask, where are the swords?
Yeah, I'm starting to think that too. But then again, Swamp normally does have a sword somewhere.
Hera Big Key is not a bad find for dataplet. It just means he'll be able to 100% full clear Hera whenever he locates it, which we know he has the tools to find Hera. He doesn't know that yet, but we know that. And good news for Walsh, Thieves is a crystal.
Woo!
Oh yeah, dataplet doesn't have the mirror. He needs to find that. It blocks 2 crystal dungeons, at least.
Yeah, but dataplet is in the area once they get out of swamp.
And Walsh is going for hook shot. I'm going to give a hot take despite what everyone else has been saying. I actually think with this play, Walsh probably has a pretty good lead. Because I feel like most of the things, if Walsh just chases this hook shot, it's going to get him everything dataplet has, and he just has all these crystals. Like, all he really has to do is find swamp, or find Skull Woods, and the whole seed just kind of falls into place. The situation to explain for anyone who hasn't been watching this closely is we have some very divergent routes. Walsh has a 4 crystal to 1 lead, with the 1 crystal dataplet has not being one of the 4 crystals Walsh has, which is pretty incredible. Dataplet has a hook shot and boots. Walsh, I guess, doesn't really have any items over him at this point, other than the mirror. I guess the mirror's a pretty critical item to talk about, isn't it?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, dataplet's probably about to get the mirror, just like Walsh is about to get the hook shot. Dataplet also has both rods over Walsh. The fire rod, at least, will fall right into Walsh's lap when he does GT.
As will the ice rod, I think.
The ice rod is...
I thought I remember seeing it in the rando room. Oh, it's in hook shot. Okay,
hook
never
shot
mind. You're
cave.
right. My bad. My bad.
But then again, we very well might not need the rods. It's very likely at this point that Turtle Rock is our last pendant. It's either that or Hera.
Ooh, blue goo. All right, well, here comes that ice rod for Walsh.
Along with a friendly Pod Small and a very unfriendly Ice Big Key. As far as Walsh is concerned, the last chest in Hookshot Cave was empty.
Yup.
Yeah, until we see any evidence that the boots are required, Walsh's best bet in this seed is just never going to the back of escape and never finding the boots, I would think.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
There's the Hyrule Castle small key, so that would get Walsh into Swamp right away if he wanted it. That also, I think, greatly reduces the odds that Walsh climbs, and that's very good for Walsh. Yeah, for anyone who wants a reminder on where the Ether Medallion was, it was in the vanilla map room in Ganon's Tower. So if this is Skullwoods, that's a little fun. I don't feel like Ether will be that hard for Walsh to find either, but this is an out-of-the-way entrance, if nothing else.
Nope, just some fairies.
I've also just realized you actually could single dip Eastern in this seed. What you would have to do is you would have to go and get that Hyrule Castle small key from Pod. You would have to go get the Swamp small key, go get the boots, and then you could get into Mire, and then you would single dip Eastern.
Oh yeah, that's true. A little out of the way, but...
And we learned Turtle Rock is a crystal. So Walsh is going to get his Fire Rod from left side GT. He's also going to get his Ether Medallion. And that's going to put him in a find Skullwoods and go into Mire to get the Eastern Big Key mode. Also swords. Where are the swords is a mystery for the ages at this point, actually. We've checked almost every high-density area in the world.
It's true. We're going to check a couple bonk rocks here, though.
Yeah, dataplet's just going to go finish off Turtle Rock. We know this is going to pay off because it's a crystal. In terms of that sword hunt, though, dataplet's probably going to give us 3 new checks. The Trinex item drop, of course. He's probably going to go right back in and do the Firelock side of Turtle Rock.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. Nice hammer strats for dataplet.
Those 10 arrows didn't really do much anything for him, but that shouldn't surprise anyone.
Nope.
So, do you remember where the thieves' big key was?
I don't know. Off the top of my head, I didn't write that one down. Oh, our trackers pointed out it was in the Mire area. Checkerboard cave.
Okay, that's a pretty big deal. Dataplet either has to find the connector that he hasn't checked yet, or find the flute. Granted, flute itself is not flush on places to be, but it can be a hard item to locate. Wow, Walsh is not doing right side GT. He might have just found Fire Rod so late in the process he just forgot about it, but that is a wild play.
Well, there's the flute.
That's a really good item for Dataplet, because that's going to lead him right to the Thieves' Town Big Key, which, in Dataplet's mind, that's going to tell him that unless Quake is required, he's in sword mode.
All right, back into Hera we go.
There's a sword in the Pod Vanilla Big Key chest. I feel like if Walsh gets another Pod Small Key and is in the area, he'll find that one, but definitely not your favorite thing to check. Walsh doesn't know that Hera is a pendant. We know it from information from both runners. Whoa, Walsh is not even checking the chest downstairs?
Interesting play.
Granted, Walsh might do something even more wild. Get Moldorm's item. When he sees a pendant drop, just drop down the middle hole to get the other chest and then mirror.
Picks it up.
Like, I guess I kind of get it that this is out of logic. You'll come back with the big key if you have to, but man, just a wild play. It's especially wild when you're still on Fighter's Sword. Like, swords are one of the best items you can find out of logic because they solve problems for you while not really leading you astray.
Well, Helm sword down over on Dataplet's side.
So I guess kind of one of the big problems for Walsh is If he goes and gets his Swamp Palace small key, he might be tempted to explore Swamp before Mire, and that would just not pay off for him. Yeah, Walsh is about to go to his 5th crystal. What Walsh really needs to do is just go to Mire, find the Eastern big key, just go finish Eastern, and then be like, I'm going to check every entrance I have access to and just hope that I can find Skull Woods, and we know that'll work out.
Whereas on dataplet, they just need to get over into the Maya area to find Tower of Para. No, we don't need Tower of Para. We need the Ice Palace entrance up there on a Mimic Cave.
But he does need to make it to the Mire region to find the Thieves Town big key.
That as well. Which I'll bet they'll do here real quickly after activating the flute.
And I will point out that there are 2 entrances we know for sure do not contain Skullwoods. We know it's not in the Pyramid Fairy because Skullwoods is a 5/6 crystal. And we know it's not in Ganon's Tower because, well, it's a crystal at all. That Ice Palace map isn't even awful for dataplet.
No, because it will show that the Ice Palace is a crystal.
Actually, wait, no, dataplet has full knowledge anyway. He has knowledge of what all the 3 pendants are. I don't think he knows that Skullwoods is a 5/6 crystal, which at this point, honestly, not knowing that might matter because he has to consider that Super Bomb might be a thing, but that's about it.
Right.
So we're probably about to see what's in the Skullwoods big chest, and then we're going to see what's in the back of Skull entrance. It looks like going to get a very rare intended strat Skullwood big chest. When was the last time you saw this?
Very long time. Maybe a few months.
Okay, Skull is not vanilla. What do we have left? We have the northern 2 boots entrances, and is that actually it?
Do we have Dark World Bonk Rocks over there by Dark Link's house?
I know dataplet checked the Light World one. It would be weird to not also have checked the Dark World one, but I guess stranger things have happened.
VXR, yeah, boots are in swamp. It looks like we are probably going to get a check over here. Maybe not. Never mind. Forget my train of thought.
Well, Walsh is going into Mire. This is very good for him because it'll be his Eastern big key. That's a big deal because even if he needs boots, they're in the second chest of Swamp. As soon as he sees those boots, he can just hit Mirror.
Yeah, it just needs to go into the back of Sang to get the small key. All right, dataplet finally going into the Mire area.
So this is going to definitely put Walsh on a bit of a timer, because as soon as dataplet finds the Thieves' Town big key, he knows he can finish the seed. He just has to find the remaining dungeons. Finding Ice Palace might take him a while, but he knows he can do it. Also, with dataplet going into Hera with the big key, there's basically no chance he doesn't check all three chests upstairs. If there's another sword there, that is when you really start worrying for Walsh ever finding a second sword.
Yeah, because Walsh skipped those just to go straight to Moldor.
So another big question we have here is, will Walsh kill Vitreous? I have to think no, but it's hard to be confident about that.
When Walsh getting bailed out in Tower of Hera, there was nothing in there.
The last GT Small is not a super positive item for Walsh to find, because he has to be considering, you know, what if I just need to climb? Yeah, dataplet has all three pendants. So if there is a vanilla sword, it could be his.
Yeah, price three pendants. A sword could be yours today.
The thing is, I don't think it's going to come up because Dataplet is going to, after doing Hera Basement, check the rest of the Mire region entrances. This will get him to Thieves Town Big Key, and then he'll be in item go mode. He'll need to find some entrances, but he'll have every item possibly required to do that.
Yeah, I still think Skullwoods is on a Bonk Rock somewhere.
I can't think of a different place to propose it would be that would contradict you, honestly. To answer the question from chat, the way key logic works in general, the randomizer assumes you spin the keys in the worst way possible. So if you have a choice between two doors, you logically are going to need 2 keys to check what's behind either of them. And the logic is very robust and smart about a lot of different scenarios revolving around this. Oh, Walsh playing with fire with that mirror, but does not accidentally mirror. Instead, kills the boss correctly. Goes to 6 crystals. Getting that 7th could be an issue. I don't think Walsh has any more available entrances, though. So going to the... It's just the first question is how long until he goes to the back of Escape?
And that could potentially be a little bit.
We're going to get a shovel check. I don't know if we've done this yet. It, unfortunately for Walsh, was a thoroughly unhelpful Skullwood small key. And it looks to me like he's heading toward Escape. So he should get his skull small. I think Walsh is mostly on a path to finishing. Except for the obvious glaring concern of where his second sword is going to come from. Oh, but he's not going back. Oh. Yeah, the Turtle Rock entrance. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, you might as well check it while you're here.
For all he knows, this is Moth. And if this is Moth, and Moth or the chest next to Moth is a sword, which is not even unlikely at this point that that's where one of the swords is, then
It's true.
it's
All right.
over for him.
And it was the Bonk Rock.
Okay, this is going to be Crystal 5 for Dataplet. And Dataplet doesn't know it, but he would really prefer Mothula not drop a sword. Because I honestly feel like if Walsh makes the most ordinary decisions, he probably still has a lead. Not if he... What are you doing? Go back into the castle.
No!
Like, the fact that he was right there, able to go to back of Escape and didn't, that's bad.
Yeah.
I don't think it's GG. He still has time. Because, yeah, dataplet has to find ice, and also clear thieves. Whereas when Walsh gets the boots, he's very quickly going to find and kill Mothula. The issue of the sword could be a huge issue, but we still don't know about the chest directly under Moth. That could be a sword for all we know. Now, the bad news here is that Walsh is back in GT. He's going to climb. And I do think climbing GT is going to cost Walsh the race.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And yeah, dataplet's probably just going to get all 4 items in the back of Thieves Town here. Just hoping he gets a sword. 3 of the 4 we know are not swords, but... Oh, never mind. He doesn't care. At the least, he's not going to check the big chest, which is the only one that could be a sword as far as we know.
Right.
I'm just trying to think, like, how many places are really... I mean, in dataplet's mind, there's probably a sword and ice. The fact that we know if there's a sword and ice, it's in big chest. I guess you got to kind of separate your knowledge of the scene versus the runner's knowledge. With our knowledge, there's so few places for sword left. The big chest here is actually a pretty good chance of it. But with dataplet's knowledge, you know, ice probably has a sword. Maybe both swords, honestly. You could have, like, the monoliths, the pedestal, all those potentially awful sword locations we're never going to explore.
Yeah, I'm just thinking from, you're right, from the runner's perspective, we're like, it could be a lot of different places, but for us, we know that it's very few. I will go on record, I think one of the swords is on one of the tablets.
It is a shame we're never going to know whether that's true or not.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. We have not seen Sahasrara at all. He is probably in the Pyramid Ferry or Ganon's Tower entrance. And that means we're never going to find him or any of the 4 items he gates. Yeah, at this point, Walsh needs dataplet to have an awful time finding Ice Palace, and I don't really see how that's going to happen.
Yeah, I can't think that it will take too much longer for dataplet to find it.
There might still be a narrow window for Walsh if he goes straight to boots, mirrors out a swamp, checks the right ball and crocs relatively quickly, and there is a sword in the one location. But that is asking for a lot to happen.
Yeah, that would be like literally the perfect scenario. Ooh, nice triple shot.
So here's Walsh about to get his Swamp Small Key. It feels extremely likely he will immediately follow that up. The first question is, will he mirror as soon as he finds Boots? You would have to think probably, right?
Probably, but there's also the chance, we're looking for a sword. Swamp, and when I've watched and done Crosskeys, Swamp normally has a sword in there somewhere.
Yeah, from Walsh's perspective, Swamp is by far the most likely place to have a sword. But from Walsh's perspective as well, he has to think he really can't afford to full clear Pendant Swamp for a sword. And he's right that he cannot afford to do that.
We shall see here pretty soon, though, I think.
Yeah, Dataplet's given up all pretense of ever finding a tempered sword. He's not checking chests that are even right on his way. Which, from our perspective, is fine, because all these convenient chests on his way, we already know don't have swords.
Yeah.
Yeah, Walsh is about to find the top of Bumper Cave, which for him will feel like a great find, but we know it's just not. Oh, I don't think we've seen Magic Bat yet. This could be a sword. It doesn't really matter at this point, but it could be.
Yeah, it could be. I think this is. Nope. Lots of money.
Well, Walsh is on the right track now, but it's really too little too late. Dataplet's ready to go fight Ganon.
Yep.
And Walsh isn't leaving anyway, which is going to prevent this from even being close. Like, he has to know he can find Skullwoods with those boots. But I guess he's not confident betting one of the two Skullwoods items is a sword, which we know one of them isn't. The other is still a mystery.
Alrighty, well, everybody, here's Ganon.
You do have to give Dataplet some good credit for this win, though. I mean, assuming he can hold on and handle a Ganon fight, which I have every confidence that's a foregone conclusion. Like, he cleared all the pendants and is still going to win by, at this point, a little more than a dungeon.
Yeah, just made some good routing decisions and finding items when he did.
Hey, that pod small key for Walsh will point him toward the other sword we know about.
Ooh, that was close.
Yeah, that is not what you want to do. And honestly, even with Silvers, Ganon is an annoying fight with Master Sword if you miss the torch glitch.
Oh yes, get those GGs in chat. Dataplet is almost there to the end.
That is an official time at 2:28:13. Certainly not the fastest time you'll ever seen, but Dataplet did a lot of stuff in this run. Oh, I don't think we know the chest and spiral cave. This is another candidate sword location.
Oh, yes. Nope.
And it sounds like dataplet will not be joining us for an interview, which is perfectly fine. Congratulations on your win, dataplet, and have fun in your next round. And we'll see if Walsh finishes this up. So far, it looks like he very well may be.
And it looks like about to hit that Skull Woods back entrance here.
Yeah, we're going to get an answer for one of our two questions. Is there a sword in this first chest of Skull Woods, or has Walsh been drawing dead for a long time?
I'm going to put money on it. I bet that chest down there is a sword.
I'm fairly certain Walsh is going to check.
All right, so looking over a data plate, he's still going through the credits. There's only an arrow pack on the ped.
Hey, arrows can be a useful tool for killing Ganon. They're not a sufficient tool, but they're a useful tool.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Okay, it's not a sword. Walsh has been drawing dead for a while, actually. Most of Walsh's win conditions that I was talking about late in the game and was actually kind of fixating on quite a bit revolved around that chest having a sword in it. It seems almost inevitable that the sword that Walsh can find the most easily is going to be the sword that dataplet found. But checking the GT entrance for a sword, knowing it's a 50-50 of being Sahas, this is actually Actually, I don't think he's seen the Castle Tower entrance either, but this is still a really savvy play, because Sahas's closet and Sahas himself, well, he can't check Sahas himself, but there's a really good chance of a sword in his closet.
Yeah, there is at this point. And it is the Larsh. And there's the second sword.
And we'll know if he's just finishing for the sake of finishing or if he's doing it for chat. If he's doing it for chat, he checks the Ether Monolith right here.
He's doing it for chat.
Hey, for all we know, there could be a sword on the Bamos monolith. We don't know where the 4th sword is. I don't think we're ever going to know where the 4th sword is. We know it's somewhere bad.
Yep.
It's actually entirely possible Sahas is holding the 4th sword, and there were 2 swords in there. Just one required the green pendant.
That is true.
And yeah, even though Walsh is doing a Master Sword fight, he has half magic, he has silvers. I think he has at least 1 magic restoring potion. This fight is a little annoying, but it is mostly academic for a player on his level. At least in terms of just finishing it, it's certainly a fight you can gain or lose time.
Yeah, especially with Master Sword only.
And honestly, that 185 collection rate for dataplet somewhat understates how much he checked. Because you have to remember that he just walked right by several chests because he was in go mode. So we're seeing a sort of rare getting hung up on phase 3 from Walsh. This is usually the most straightforward of the phases, but it can be a little annoying with Master Sword because of how long charging spins takes.
Alright, gets the torch clip. And we have bacon.
Shoutouts to both runners ending the Ganon fight with a double on Master Sword. It does sound like Walsh will be joining us very shortly, and we'll have a couple things to talk about. This was honestly a really exciting race.
It was right up there to the very end.
I just loved how divergent this race was. Like, these 2 runners tackled this seed in extremely different ways, and they were differences that remained competitive until very late.
Yeah, it was. It was actually quite interesting to watch. Most of the time, you see other just go follow one another, but
And welcome Walsh, GG's. That was a very interesting seed.
It was, yeah. You know, like, regardless of the result, I'm very glad that I got to witness that Moon Pearl. That was that was one of my favorite Moon Pearls in a while.
Yeah, you actually had that Moon Pearl well before dataplet. He got the bottle in Save and Quit out of Spike Cave instead of walking out, and then did a lot of other stuff before going and talking to Sick Kid. And then
Yeah.
giving Sick Kid a dose of the Bamos medallion. He was dissatisfied.
Yeah, I can imagine. Like, man, like getting out of like the whole time, once I got that bottle, like I think the only stuff that I really had left were like either like Sick Kid or like bunny walking to maybe checkerboard because I already found like the hammer peg entrance and the paradox cave. So like I think checkerboard was the only thing you could have reasonably found by bunny walking or like maybe a connector to like paradox upper. But yeah, like the whole time, just like walking back through Spy Cave, I'm like, just don't die, just don't die. I'm pretty sure I have enough magic. This is fine. And yeah, but yeah, everything after that, like, just kind of wrong ordered, I guess.
It's really interesting. Your routes after you got the pearl just diverged nearly totally. You did a ton of crystal dungeons, while dataplet found the hook shot and then full cleared GT. And got the swamp small key, and then full cleared swamp, and like you honestly had very realistic win conditions up till about 10 minutes before dataplet finished.
Yeah, that. As soon as I saw that hook shot, like I felt really bad, like getting to Mir because that was in a really dumb spot. But like it's like okay, well Mir's in pod, like you're kind of waiting on other things to like maybe that swamp's fault to like get through that area, but like yeah, getting that hook shot, I was just like, okay, this is going to be very tough. But yeah, and then like I just kind of got in my head after that. I'm like, there was some stuff that I wish I could have done better. Like I should have done Mire on my way to like checking out Hera in the Mire entrance. I should have done the compass room when I got the fire rod. I was just like, oh hey, hook shot, this unlocks stuff, or fire rod, this unlocks stuff, and yeah, it's some minor capitulation in the mid game, but it is what it is. Yeah,
I'd say kind of your last opportunity to hang in and have a chance to win this race was after you checked the Turtle Rock entrance. You really needed to go to back of escape directly and not go back to GT. And then finding the swamp small, you had to go to swamp, find boots, say, I'm in entrance go mode. I just need to find Skull Woods and go from there.
Yeah, I thought about ditching Skull, like swamp after the boots. I mean, at that point, like it would have been too late looking at the time difference, but like being in sword go mode, I couldn't bring that call. Like I just couldn't. Like I would have also needed to like find the sword like in GT. That was a very great Master Sword. Where did dataplet find Master Sword? Was it also the Saha sword?
No, he found a sword in the pod vanilla big key chest, and we don't know where the fourth sword is, but we're pretty sure it's somewhere real bad.
Yeah, I can imagine. Not every day you find go mode in GT, dude.
Nope.
Yeah. There could have been a second sword in there. Dataplet had the green pendant, but he, of course, never opened the GT entrance.
Yeah, naturally. Yeah, he had no reason to get up there if he found the sword, but yeah. Yeah, like, I feel like I was like, like you said, like there were like win conditions, and like I feel like I wasn't like really that behind until like I was, that like until I saw boots, like that was just like really deflating. But it's top 16, like everyone here is tough, and yeah, it's really hard to feel bad about losing after making it this far,
Yeah, that was honestly a fantastic race. The way everything fell, it worked out for dataplet, but I really enjoyed the series, and how are you feeling about the overall tournament?
Honestly, I had a really good time with this tournament. I didn't like when I started out like with the Crosskeys. Like, I just wanted to get to 5 and 3. Like, as long as I was over 500, like maybe like competitive into week 8, like I was gonna be happy. Like, getting to 6 and 2 and like making it out of the play-in race, like that's a lot better because like there's so many really good racers that didn't make top 16. Like, I don't really consider myself one of the 16 best racers, certainly not like 8. So yeah, like this went a lot better than I imagined it going, and yeah, I'm just really appreciative of this opportunity to like be here and just like race these guys. Like it's actually you back in the fall 2017 tournament, you were actually the runner who like got me really interested in racing because like you kind of the way you routed back then was like it introduced this like element of strategy, and I thought that was really cool and interesting. Like trying to overcome execution deficiencies. Yeah, it was really cool. So yeah, I'm really glad I was able to like kind of do well in this. Like it sucks like losing, but it's gonna be fine. Like Lee's coming up, and yeah, there's always gonna be more opportunities, and I'm really excited assuming that Misha and Kappa they're not like, hey, you didn't make top 8, get out of here,
Yeah, I'm really glad to hear it. I'm glad you had a good time. Hey, top 16 in a 168-man tournament. You were in the top 10% of players.
Yeah,
fantastic run, and good luck on your future endeavors.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. And
hey,
good luck
guys.
with the rest of the tournament.
Sorry to cut in here. We are going to have to cut here. We have some more Zelda coming up here for you. So we're going to jump off the screen. Don't go anywhere. We have some Majora's Mask randomizer coming up for you here within the next 3 minutes. So without further ado, I'm going to cut the stream and we will be back live here.